One more thing we'll do here is, of course, we've created this just to work on the paragraph where the cursor is. And we'll just show you how you would normally expand a text script like this to work on all the paragraphs in the document or whatever paragraphs you want to run on. So what I typically do is I will create a call to a main function. And this is just a convention I use. You can call your main function anything, but I'm gonna call the main function. And then I'm going to create a main function. And I'm going to add something to that. So basically what I'm going to do is, let me just copy this and you'll see what I'm going to do here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable for that document, that doc object, and then I'm going to indent this. And I'm going to delete what's in here because I want to do this in another function. So I'm just going to delete all this, and I'm only going to process this if there's an active document. So that's why I have the main function. The main function will call this function. The main call rather will call this function, and I'm going to see if there's an active document, and if there is, then I'm going to call a general function call that I usually call process doc. And so now I need a process doc function, and the process doc function is basically going to contain a lot of my main code here. So I'm going to say process doc, and I need to pass in the doc object, as we see. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through all the paragraphs in the document. Now this is where you can be particular. You can loop through the paragraphs in document order. You can loop through them randomly, just checking each paragraph. You can restrict your paragraphs to body page paragraphs. There's any number of ways you can do that, and I'm not gonna do that in this video. I may do this in another video, another series, but this, just for completeness, we'll just add this here. So I don't need the doc object. And I do need the PGF object, so I'll keep that in there, PGF, and I'm going to grab the text of each paragraph as I process it. So let's copy the regular expression here, and it's just hard-coded obviously in this function. Now we could pass it in from the outside, but for now we're just going to hard-code it in here, and then we're going to create a loop. So we're going to say PGF equals doc first. Well, let's just process the main flow paragraphs. Let's do that, and that way we'll skip reference pages and master pages. Now it'll also skip paragraphs that are inside of tables. So we need to be aware that if we need to process table paragraphs, we'll have to do something different. But again, we'll do that. We would do that in another video. So we'll say main flow in doc first text frame in flow first PGF. So this is going to start at the very first paragraph in the main flow, and then we're going to have a while loop, and we're going to say while the paragraph is object valid, and we can actually, well, we could copy that from below. We'll just type it in, valid equals 1. So we're going to, this loop is going to continue until we run out of paragraphs, and then we want to increment this loop. So we want to say if PGF equals PGF next PGF in flow. So this will take us from top to bottom in the document in the main flow, but again it will skip paragraphs that are in tables. And so now for each paragraph, what we're going to do is we're going to get the text of that paragraph. And again, we can get this down here. So let's copy this. And actually, we can copy this whole thing here. So we're going to copy this. And we're going to do our test here. So we're going to grab the text of that paragraph, and then we're going to test our regular expression against it. If the regular expression matches, then we'll process that paragraph. So we'll do this slightly different from how we did it in the other script. So let's just look and see what we got to do here. Now actually we could do it, we could leave it like this. Let me just see if that's the best approach. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. So we'll basically say, after we get the text, and after we get a match, or after we know the regular expression matches, then we'll keep going here. We'll grab this, and then we'll process the paragraph using what we have. So we don't need anything, any other kind of another function. In other words, we don't really need another function. Now the other thing I like to do here is, let me grab something from another script here if I have it. I like to turn off the document display, and the reason I do that is because the script will run faster and it won't be quite as annoying to see it kind of flicker. So let me copy this and put it here. So basically, as we process the document, we're going to turn off the document display, and it'll go a little faster, and it won't flicker the screen. And then, of course, we want to turn it back on. So we'll grab this little chunk of code here, and we'll go back here, and we'll paste this at the bottom. So when the process doc function is done, it'll turn back on the document display, and it'll refresh the screen. So let's see if that works. Let's go back to FrameMaker. And of course, what we're going to see now is that when we run this, all these occurrences of table cleaner should change to TC. So let's just see if that works. And we're going to go ahead and run this. And what it does basically is as it's going through and processing each paragraph, it's scrolling down. And that's why we ended up on the second page here at the bottom, because it finished up. But you can see here, we've got TC. Anywhere where there was table cleaner, it got fixed. And you can see that was pretty fast. And here we are here, customizing TC, text on the TC menu. So anywhere we had table cleaner, we were able to change it. So that's how we would integrate that into a main script that we could use. Now the other thing we can do, and again we won't do it here, but we could make this function actually work on a document or a book, and we would have our main function test for an active book, and then we need some code to process all of the files in the book. But for now we'll just leave it at that.